And today I want to explain what a HiFi system is, because if you're a beginner and you want to have HiFi audio at home, you need to know some of the basics. What is a source, an amplification, and more importantly, what is a speaker? Because that's the main thing that you're gonna hear and that you're gonna see when you're enjoying the music at home. I want to explain these three aspects and what are the differences, so when you come by to a showroom like this one is, you have a better understanding and you know where to go first to look for those things that you need to have that first system that you want to enjoy at the comfort of your own place. But what is the source? Well, quite simply, a source is anything that you can hit play and it will deliver the music. A source can be your phone. I wouldn't recommend it, but it could be. A source can be a streamer, like this one that I have here. Your source can also connect to a Bluetooth receiver. So if you have your phone and you connect it to this Bluetooth receiver, you can send that to the amplification. A source can also be, and let me show you, a turntable in which you can put your vinyl and you put your needle on the vinyl, it turns around and it plays. This one is also a source. So as you can see, there are many sources. There are many ways for you to take music out of to send it to your system. Some of those systems are all-in-ones because, as I said before, even though you can have the source, the amplification, and the speakers, and all of those three components can be separate, they also can be together. And some examples of that, you can see them here, in which you have an all-in-one system that can do internet radio, can do streaming from services that are hi-fi. For example, it has the speakers, it has the amplification within it, and like that one, there are many examples for you to choose from. The main difference is how much you want to get into it. If you just want something that you can say, hey, I bought one of those systems that I showed you before that is all-in-one, I click play, I connect it to the internet, that's it. That's the most simple kind of solution. Or you can get involved into knowing a little bit more of what you're looking for. You can decide, you know what, I want the streamer, for example, to be by itself, so I can always get the newest and the better that is always in the market with the best bitrate possible, so I can listen to the music at a high detail level, and then I can have my amplification and my speakers. So pretty much remember, a source is something that you can click play and it will give you music, unless it's a turntable. In that one you need to put the needle into the LP so you can actually play. Now let's see about the amplification. And here you can see some examples of amplifiers by themselves, different varieties, different sound signatures, different companies, different aspects to each and every one of those. What's important about the amplification? Well, the amplification is the one that is going to drive all the sound from the source that you have chosen. That we should include also CD players, because they're also important. It's not only that vinyl is all the rage right now, it's that also CD players, as you can see here by Yamaha, either single or carousel ones, which can play up to 5, are important as a source. Now, regarding the amplification, there are several options, but more often than not, and I want to show you, when you have an amplifier, if you look closely, one important aspect to consider are the inputs, because the more inputs you have, the more flexibility your amp can provide you. And more importantly, if you have a phone stage. When you have CD, video, auxiliary, tuner, all of those RCA inputs receive roughly the same amount of electricity coming from the device, the source from which you're connecting it to. But the phono stage is a very low voltage. What this means is that if you were to plug a turntable into a regular RCA input, the amplifier will have a hard time to showcase the volume. You will need to increase the volume in a great level because the voltage provided on that signal is very low. So to avoid that situation and to have every input at a same level, amplifiers have a dedicated phono stage that would amplify itself, that volume, and equalize it to the rest of the RCA inputs. Bear in mind, not all of the amplifiers possesses a phono stage. The other day, I had one from secondhand that didn't have it. But if you have that situation, the war is not lost because you can still use it as long, and if you're intending, of course, to use a turntable, you can still have an external phono stage connected to your amp to any of the inputs, the regular ones, and then the turntable to that phono stage. Why? Because this phono stage will amplify the signal coming from the turntable, equalize it to the rest of the inputs, and once you place it on CD, on video, on auxiliary, it will then give you the sound at that same level. With that in mind, let's move to the speakers because we need to make music, and the amp by itself is not gonna do it. So let's take a look. Now is the turn of the speaker, the item that you will more often see and hear, of course, that is not the amp or the source. One important aspect though is that these speakers are passive because the amplifier is the one giving the power for the speaker to be driven to create the music that you want to listen. But Mike, there are also options in which the speaker and the amp are all together in one. And for those, that option is the active speaker. The difference is, if you look behind it, is that the amplifier is already intertwined with one or both the speakers. In this one you will have a line in for any kind of, if a CD player or an auxiliary is there for you. You have a phone stage, you have your volume control, you have the input connection for the other speaker, because in this case, for this particular brand, which is Triangle, the Borea O2s Connect, the active speaker is one of them, and the other one that it connects to is passive, so it sends the power to its brother. And also you can connect, in this case, it's a very modern kind of interface, digital connections like USB, coaxial, optical, and also TV ARC. In certain situations, you can connect your TV to something better than just a soundbar. In this case, could be an active pair of speakers. So this is an option that can kind of conglomerates the sound and the amplification in one thing. And also, when you remove the cover, it's quite nice to look at. Regarding regular speakers, you have many options. I will suggest the options go not only on size, as you can see, and colors, all of those things that are very obvious to the eye, but also how they sound. It's different. For example, Bowers & Wilkins is a kind of speaker that is more detailed, and let me show you here by removing the cover. So this is a Bowers & Wilkins, and this brand in particular is very detail oriented, and you like to listen to every single detail and every single aspect. That might be the brand that you're going to go with, for example. And as you can see, when you go with a bookshelf speaker, they don't occupy much space, they're very small, they're very aesthetically not intrusive. If you have a partner or a wife, that might be speakers, careful! So that might be an option for that. But bear in mind, because of the physics of how the drivers move the air, bookshelf speakers by default, they are not very bassy. They don't have that oomph sound that a floor standing speaker like these ones that I'm going to show you have. And the reason for that is very simple. If you see, you have your bookshelf speaker and they're very small. They're no bigger than my head, and my head is very big. But the floor standing ones, they're quite long. And also, if you take a look at any of the speakers that are bookshelf, these are two different brands, you see that you have a tweeter and then you have a mid-drive. Again, you have a tweeter and then you have a mid-drive. And then you have this handsome fella, in which you have a tweeter, which is outside, and you have a mid-drive. So when you go to floor standing speakers, things change. You have more room, you have more space. So you have the tweeter, you have the mid-drive, and you have bass drives. And also you have bigger space. And that bigger space, that's not only the height, but also the depth, allows you to move more air. And therefore you will have more oomph by default in the sound that comes from the floor standing speaker. As you can see, it's something that is very important to have in mind, because depending on your space, depending on how you like to listen to your music, it will be the speaker that you will go ahead and purchase. If you have a small space and then having that bass that will travel further than the tweeter or the mid-drive, perhaps you need to have a bookshelf. Let's say you live in an apartment, and a small house, or the speakers will be in a small room. A bookshelf speaker, depending on the kind of speaker that you're looking for, might be the best option. If the space is not an issue and you like that bass to be driven, well, maybe a floor standing one would be the best option. As you see, there are options for everybody. I will say if we match the amplifier that I was speaking with, I will match it with one of the bookshelves. I would say perhaps the Warhouse & Wilkins is a very good one, or maybe if you like the sound to be more relaxed, more if you enjoy, for example, classical music, or you enjoy indie rock, perhaps Sonus Farber, which is these ones here, might be an option that you want to explore because it's a very nice speaker but with a very warm sound. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the differences. The most important aspect of all of this is how you enjoy your music the most. Either if it's detail or if it's not, is what you enjoy, because your options getting into hi-fi is how you enjoy your music. So bear that in mind. And to finalize today's video, I want to notice that you could use an all-in-one kind of system. A system that, as I said at the very beginning of this video, can put together the speaker, the amplifier, and the source. The only problem with that is that, first off, it's not as good. The performance can never be the same as a pair of speakers by themselves because of the space, because of how everything is compartmentalized in a small footprint. So it's an option when you're starting things with. There are different all-in-one solutions that either has CD players or that you can add a CD player or a turntable to them. But it all depends on the kind of sound that you're looking for and the kind of interest that you want to develop towards hi-fi. If you're someone that wants to play and to mix and match and to have something that is you, that is a very personal solution, perhaps the all-in-one kind of solution is not the best suited for you. And as a last thing, I mentioned you that the phone should not be used as a source. And the reason for the phone, any phone, your iPhone, your Android, you name it, shouldn't be used as a source is because the DAC, the digital to analog converter that is within it, is not the best. Because you might be thinking, oh, well, you know what, I can grab my phone, I can connect a dongle if you have a USB-C or you have a Lightning port, and put an auxiliary cable jack, mini jack to RCA, and go on with it. The thing is that all the transformation, the conversion from the digital source, could be your streaming service or the files that are within your phone, are being converted by that little DAC that is within the phone. What you want to do is to have a proper DAC, a proper streamer, a proper source, that if you want to use your phone, it's only because it's going to become the remote control of the system that you want to put together, but not to be the item from where the source is going to come directly from. Now, hopefully you have your list done. Hopefully you know where to start looking for. And as always, make your home your playground, full of music and full of joy. See you next time. Bye-bye.